So I said you're going to have 5 of these on the test. Here we go, this is our 5th one. This is the last one that I have to give you. This one's going to be the hardest, but it looks like we're up to the challenge. So what we're going to do here is remember, there's 4 steps to solve by factoring. Determine if this is good or bad. Because this is not a 0, this is bad. Which means this is bad as well. We're going to have to get rid of those parentheses. So how do we get rid of those parentheses? Remember, we're going to distribute. Distributing means multiply. 2d times 3d, 2 times 3 is 6, d times d is d squared. Here, 2d times 2, it's going to be 4d. Now, once you get rid of the parentheses, now you can do the additive inverse to move this 10 over. So the opposite of a positive 10 would be to subtract 10 on both sides. Once you do that, they cancel out, and then we have 6d squared plus 4d minus 10. Remember, there's no like terms here. D squared is different from d, and constant term is definitely not the same as any variable term. So just put it in descending order so that we have 3 terms here, and over here we have a 0. Once it's a good set of equation, then we're going to have to ignore the equals 0 and focus on the factoring side. When you focus on the factoring side, you're going to have to always say, even though it's 3 terms, is there a GCF? Yes, they all have an even number, so that means we can at least take out a 2. If I go through that list, remember, A, do we have matching set of parentheses? No. Do we have the same letter in all terms? No. Do we have the number in the same? Yes, because 6 is 2 times 3, 4 is 2 and 2, and 10 is 2 and 5. So they all have a 2 in common. And then, does it start with a negative? No. But just because we have a 2, that means we could factor it out. So my leftovers would be 3d squared plus 2d minus 5. All I did was divide each of these guys by 2. Once I got this, then what I have to do is see if this can be broken down. So I look at this 3d squared plus 2d minus 5 to see if I can break that down even further. Notice it's 3 terms, so you could do shortcut, arch, FOIL. But because there's a leading term here, automatically that tells us, nope, cannot do shortcut. Don't like FOIL, so I'm going to do arch. Arch, remember, is to multiply. 8 steps. Create the arch, leading coefficient times the last term, constant or coefficient. We get a 15. Step 2, do all the combos of 15. 1 and 15, 3 and 5. Then, step 3. Once you get your combos, let's see if we have to add or subtract the list. Because it's a minus, we're going to subtract the list. So when we subtract, we get 14, we get a 2. Next, once we're done subtracting, chose a combo. So step 4, see how this 2 matches the coefficient in the middle? So that means 3 and 5 is our lucky winner. Now, step 5, split. Remember, we're not using any parentheses. Arch method does no factoring. All it does is take this 2, say goodbye to it, and then 3 and 5 are the new coefficients. Whatever letters here, whatever the variable part is, that's the letter and exponent, you have to bring it here and here, so they're mirror images of each other, D and D. Once you have that, then we said, okay, step 6, sign issues. Should this be the same or different? Because it's a minus sign, we know that we're going to have different. So one of them will be a plus, one will be a minus. Let's see who gets what. Always start with the bigger number. 5 always gets the same sign as the middle. So it looks like the bigger brother, 5, wins the outfit. The younger brother has to choose something opposite of him. There you go. Minus 3d plus 5d will give us a positive 2d. Bring down the first term and bring down the last term is step 7. And with these 4 terms, we're going to have to do the grouping method. The grouping method, if you recall, is just put parentheses around the first 2 terms, parentheses around the last 2 terms, make sure you include the sign in the second set, and then take out the GCF. Here you can take out the GCF of 3D. So you're left with D minus 1. Here you can take out 5, and we know it's going to be a positive 5. So when you divide these by 5, you'll also get a D minus 1. So this and this match. They become one set of parentheses. The 3D plus 5 is the other set of parentheses. Now that you're done factoring this, remember, because there's a GCF, bring it down. So you're now done factoring completely. But I hate to say that's not your final answer. What you have to do is, because this says solve by factoring, you're going to take each of these and set it equal to 0. So 2 equals 0. Now notice, that doesn't even make sense. There is no letter up here. 2 equals 0, that's a contradiction. Well, remember, sometimes we'll have a GCF that's a letter here, and sometimes it's a plain number. If it's a plain number, then you cannot solve this. So that's gone. It makes sense, because remember, once we turn this into a good problem, remember the square? The square said we only can get 2 answers. So this one has to be thrown out, because these are my letters. So D minus 1 equals 0. Move the 1 over to get D by itself. There's one answer. D equals positive 1. And then take the other parentheses. 3D plus 5 equals 0. Subtract 5 on both sides. 3D equals negative 5. Divide each side by 3. And you're going to have a fraction. D equals negative 5 over 3. So I told you, you can get some fractions. But we got our 2 answers because it's squared here and here. This was the hardest one. Why was this the hardest one? 1, because we start with bad. 2 is we got to get rid of the parentheses. 3 is because, we had to do a GCF. And then we had to do arch. So this was a heavy problem, but we were still able to get 2 answers. Remember, our answers are going to be D equals a number, and they can be fractions.